Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your boy Mike, come with another video. I know it's been a little bit since I've posted something. Your boy's been busy, your boy's been tired. But they actually brought up a topic I wanted to talk about, and it's pretty much how you know you're making progress in the gym. There are so many different ways to track your progress. Unfortunately, progressing in the gym is not linear like we want it to be. It's very is very jagged. The best way I can describe making progress in the gym is looking at the stock market. Sometimes you have peaks, you have valleys, you have peaks, you have valleys, but as long as it's going in the right direction, that's how you know you're making progress in general. Now, a couple ways that you can check your overall progress. Let's say with your weights, with weightlifting. One way to check your progress, obviously, is if you're lifting heavier. Okay, are my weights going up? That's one way to track progress. With the same way, so let's say if I'm going to bench press 135, then you're usually doing 135, 3 sets of 8. Let's stick with some basic numbers. 135, 3 sets of 8 on a bench press, and you're like, your first time you're doing it, like, okay, this is kind of hard. This is kind of hard. This is kind of hard. You keep working at it. You keep working at it. You keep working at it, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to add 5 pounds total, not per side, total. So 140, because 135 got a little bit easier. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try out the 140s. You're hitting 140, 140. It's like, okay, 3 sets of 8. It's still, it may be a little bit heavy, but like, okay, this is heavy, but it's doable. You're making progress. That's one way of tracking progress. Now, whenever you're increasing your weights, you don't have to make these big, grandiose jumps that a lot of people think you have to do. To be honest, that was one of the mistakes that I made whenever I was coming up. Because I told you guys a while ago, there's a time I was working on my deadlift. And that was, the max I got was 463. That was the max I got on my deadlift. And I got that for a clean one. I probably could have gotten like 2 or 3 reps. I was like, okay, this felt really good. I was like, okay, I'm going to jump. I was like, I'm going to jump the weight. So pretty much I'm going to increase the weight a lot instead of small increments like I know I should have done. I was like, I'm feeling myself. I'm going to go ahead and jump the weight. So I went from like 463. I think I tried 490 or something like that. Barely got it off the ground. I was like, crap. And I took a break, rested a little bit, tried it again. I couldn't get it. So if let's say instead of 463, or instead of 490, let's say if I tried 470 or 475, do I feel like I could have got it? I feel like I could have got it. However, the jump that I did was too big of a jump. So I was like, man. So that's why I say my deadlift record is 463, because that's the max I've actually lifted. Could I have lifted more than that if I jumped more efficiently while I was working on my max? Yes, I could have definitely gotten more. Have I gotten close to that 463 again? Nope. But my schedule is way different now than it was back then. Again, your boy's a little bit older. Am I old? Nah, but am I a little bit older? Yeah. And school and everything like that. I'm not sleeping as much. My nutrition isn't where it needs to be. I'm not following a periodized program or anything like that. So my deadlift is not where it is. But I digress. Increasing your weight is one way to check if you're progressing. That's one way. Another way to check, in a similar venue, is your reps. How many reps are you doing? So this is one thing I always try to say is figure out how you want to progress your reps in your sets, so you know how you can increase your exercises. So you always hear, oh yeah, do 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 8. However, let's go back to bench press, and let's say you're doing 135, 3 sets of 8, and like, okay, I have to progress. Are you gonna go to one? Let's say you tried 145 and it's too heavy. What are you gonna do? It's like, does that mean that, oh, I can't progress? No, that doesn't mean that at all. You just have to find a different way to progress. So again, if you're doing 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 8 at 135, you want to try 145 and that's too heavy. Instead of increasing the weights, increase the reps. So instead of 3 sets of 8, try 3 sets of 9 or 3 sets of 10. And how does that feel? It's like, does it feel hard? Does it feel easy? Does it feel doable? That's another way of checking how you're progressing. Because again, you want to have as many ways to track your progress that you can, because the gym can get, whenever you're trying to progress with different things, the gym can get very demotivating, because again, you're gonna have peaks, you're gonna have valleys, and sometimes those valleys last a while. You're like, I'm not making progress at all. However, that's when you have to know your body, know yourself, and know how you're tracking your progress to know if you're actually making progress, if you're actually at a standstill, or you're just in one of those little valleys before you hit a peak. You know what I mean? So find out different ways to track your progress. And that's why I always say, write everything down so you know exactly where you're at. So sorry, my hand was all in the camera. My bad, y'all. But checking your reps and your sets. So let's say if you've been at 3 sets of 8, 135 on the bench press. Okay, that goes good. You're like, okay, this is feeling a little bit easier. This is feeling a little bit easier. Do I want to increase the reps, the sets, or the weights? I'm going to increase the reps first. So go from 3 sets of 8 to 3 sets of 9 or 10. If that goes well, okay, cool. I'm going to try 4 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 9 or 4 sets of 10. Try that out. See how that feels. Because again, that's just another way of taxing your body. That's working a lot more endurance with the same weight. So you're working on your endurance and your strength at the same time without increasing the weight. So again, another way of tracking your progress is just to see, how frequently you can do the same thing. That's another way of tracking your progress. Another way of tracking your progress is how much time do you need between your sets, because it is very taxing. Whenever you're lifting heavy, it's very taxing, and that's why there are so many jokes around like the lifting community and the exercise community. Is that you'll see bodybuilders, it's like, oh yeah, they're resting for 40 or 45 to 60 seconds between reps and sets, and then they're going again. Yeah, power lifters, it says like, oh yeah, they're resting like 10 minutes between reps and sets. They're watching TV shows and taking naps, and all of a sudden just walking around the gym. No, you see those memes all over the place. But the reason why is because a power lifter lifts a lot heavier, generally speaking, a lot heavier than a bodybuilder. Are there extremely strong bodybuilders? Yes, there are extremely strong bodybuilders. Are there powerlifters that are not as strong as bodybuilders, and they're in different weight classes and different time lengths in their lifting career? Yes, but generally speaking, for the same experience, same professional level, if you will, same time, things like that, a powerlifter is going to lift heavier than a bodybuilder. Again, look at there are some extremely strong bodybuilders out there. Looking at if you follow bodybuilding, look at the stage. There's some big guys out there, but they don't hit 1 rep maxes because there's no need to. So you don't need that level of strength. However, for power lifters, for strongman competitors, they need their sport requires a different level of strength. It's not show muscle, it's go muscle. Now, do they have show muscle? Yes, they have a lot of show muscle. That's why there's this a bodybuilder. His name is Morris Pujanowski. Not bodybuilder, strongman competitor named Morris Pujanowski. I used to follow him whenever I was younger. But strongman competitor, and I think he was a kickboxer also. Dude looks like he can step on stage. Like if he dieted down a little bit, dude was jacked. He was ripped and everything like that. But he was the world's strongest man for like 5 times in a row. The dude's insane. But it's he trained a little bit differently than normally. But again, checking like how much time you need between your reps, your sets, even between different exercises, because sometimes you just kind of pooped out, between different things. Like let's say if you're doing the same thing, bench press, 135, 3 sets of 8. Let's say if it usually takes you a minute and a half to recover to feel like, okay, I can keep going. Sometimes I say if you want to be as detailed as you can, time your rest breaks, and then track it to see how you're feeling, with a certain amount of time between your rest breaks, or just get like a general feel. But to be as accurate as you can be, time your rest breaks. Do you have to? No. Did I used to? I used to. Do I do it now? No, I don't do it now. To be honest, I don't do it anymore. But I used to time my rest breaks. I was like, okay, I'm going to take 45 seconds with this exercise, I'm going to take 60 seconds with this exercise, and 2 minutes with this. I used to write all that stuff down. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. Is it necessary? Not really. But it's one way to track. So how much time you need between your sets, and even just your different exercises, that's another way to track how, if you're progressing in the gym or not. Another way is every now and then it's like your body will just kind of like sneak up on you, like you're not seeing like any physical changes at all, and then you wear a shirt or some pants or something like that that you normally wear, and then you just walk past the mirror and you're like, what did this happen? It's like, it's like, no, for guys, like, you're working on your chest and everything like that, and you walk past the mirror and you're like, my chest got bigger. Cool. For my my bad, my bad, y'all. For my ladies, my ladies tend to work a lot more on their glutes and their legs. And they tend to they wear the same leggings. They whether it's the regular leggings, whether it's like the short leggings, whatever it is. They're doing their legs and they just walk past the mirror and they're like, when did this happen? It's like, okay, that thing is thanging. That thing is sitting right. It's like, okay. So, but again, it sneaks up on you because you're so used to seeing your body that sometimes you don't recognize the changes that your body has, and then you're like, no, you wear the same shirt, or wear something, or you're just in the right light, and you're just like, when did this happen? It's like, oh, okay, I guess whatever I'm doing is working. And sometimes you're noticing it in your clothes. Sometimes you're noticing it before you shower or whatever. Or let's say if like you just finished your workout, because you just finished your workout and you're about to take a shower, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm seeing some results, and that's why it's not critical. It's not super important, but a lot of people will say, learn how to pose. Is it cheesy? It can be cheesy. Does it actually help you to know what your body looks like? It does. Posing is another tool in your tool belt of progressing. Again, is it necessary? No. Does it help with the mind-muscle connection? Yes, it does. Am I saying you have to do all the bodybuilding poses? No. If you don't want to, you ain't got to. But it just kind of helps you get to know your body from different angles and to see, okay, I need to work on here, I need to work on there. Okay, this is progressing the way I want to, this ain't, so on and so forth. It's just another way of getting to know your body. So, just checking, your overall appearance, like see what your appearance looks like. That's another way of checking to see if you're improving. In regards to time, seeing how long it takes you to do your whole workout. Again, you know me, I say write everything down, whether write the exercises, the sets, the reps, the weights, writing those things down. And let's say if it usually takes you an hour and a half to do your workout, and you're feeling exhausted afterwards, like, okay, this is insane. You're doing the same thing, hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and a half each time, and then 2 months goes by, and then you're an hour and 20 minutes. You don't feel as tired. It's like, okay, is it progress? Yes, it's still progress. Again, a little bit of progress each time makes a whole lot of progress in the long run. And again, it's going to be up and down. It's going to be up and down. It's not going to be linear. Like, just like I say, if everything in your life is linear, it ain't a good thing. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have ups and downs. As long as it's trending in the right direction, just like the stock market, that's how you know you're actually making progress. That's the easiest way to say, okay, I'm making progress. It's going to be up and down. It's going to be up and down. And again, we all love the peaks. Trust me, your boy loves the peaks. But we have to embrace the valleys, because you don't get to get the full respect of the peaks unless you have a couple of valleys in your life, unless you have a couple of valleys in your gym training. Because it's like, if you're making PRs every time, is it gonna be fun? Yes, but are you gonna respect it as much? You may not. So you have to embrace the goods and the bads, the happies and the sads with your lifting career. That's one way of checking your progress with your strength training. In regards to your cardio, you can track some of the same things. So a good thing that I like to do is I like to do a set cardio, something that has like a set speed, set endurance levels type thing. For instance, my preferred cardio at the end of my workout is I'll go on the treadmill, I'll go 15 incline, and I used to do 3.3 speed. Okay, now write the thing down. No, treadmill, 20 minutes, 15 incline, 3.3 speed. No, and then I'll write a little note after it. Like, I'll write how many calories I burned, the distance that I went, just because those numbers don't change too much. unless you're increasing the other variables, unless you're increasing the incline, or unless you're increasing the speed, things of that nature. If you want to write down your METs, you can write down your METs, because that's metabolic equivalent. Metabolic equivalent. I have to double check what METs actually stands for. But yeah, you can write down that too if you want to. That's another way of tracking your progress. But just to say, okay, this is how many METs I'm putting out. Whenever something has a set path, a set pace, your METs aren't going to change unless you're increasing one of the other variables, unless you're increasing the speed or the height or the intensity of the exercise. But let's say if you're doing 20 minutes on a treadmill, 15 incline, 3.3 speed, and you're like, okay, first time you're doing it, you're holding on for dear life. You're holding on to rails. You look like you're about to die in 2 seconds. You're like, okay, this is where I'm at. Write that down. Okay, held on for dear life. Felt like I was gonna die. Someone call 911. I need help. Write those things down so you know. Let's say you're doing that day 1. That's how you felt. Day 2. That's how you felt. Day 3. That's how you felt. Day 7. You're like, okay, I'm holding on for dear life. I don't feel like I was gonna die right then, but after I stepped off, I felt like I was gonna fall. Okay, you're getting a little bit stronger. Your endurance is getting a little bit better because you're able to go a little bit longer without feeling those extreme signs of fatigue. Okay, cool. Let's say you're doing the same thing. You're like, okay, the 3.3 felt pretty good. I'm going to try to change one of those other variables. I'm going to try to increase either my incline, my duration, or my speed. Let's see which one I feel the most comfortable adjusting right now. Pick your variable to change, stick with that variable for a little bit, and I'll say, once you've changed like all 3 variables, then you can go up to the next variable. Again, that's just a good systematic way of changing those things. So let's say you have 15 incline. You can't go any higher. 15, for the treadmills I use, a 15 incline is the highest you can go. And again, it's a steep incline, but you have 3.3 speed for 20 minutes. I wonder how 3.4 feels, or even 3.5. So you can start off at 3.3. Let's say you get 3.3 for 10 minutes. Then go to 3.4. See how 3.4 feels. It's like, okay, this is I'm feeling it. This is tough, but okay, it's doable. Okay, cool. Once that changes, like, okay, do you have time to increase the time length? If not, okay, instead of holding on for dear life, hold on with one hand. How does that feel? Because that's a different intensity. Holding on with both hands compared to holding on with one hand, that's a different intensity. Just like I was talking about in my squat video previously. Holding on with 2 hands versus holding on with one hand versus having a hand hovering versus just holding a finger on for like a tactile cue or just a touch cue. All those variables are different. It gives you, each thing is a little bit more difficult. So let's say if you're going, let's say you went, okay, 15 incline, I can't go any higher. 20 minutes, I can't go any longer. 3.4 speed, I don't feel like I can increase the speed right yet. Okay, instead of death gripping it with both hands, I'm going to try to just hold on without a death grip. Let's see how that feels. Okay, this feels pretty good. This is tough, but it's doable. You made progress. That means that your lungs are getting stronger, your heart's getting stronger, your legs are getting stronger, your posture is getting stronger. Because walking up incline, that works a lot of core, it works a lot of posture too. So if you're like, okay, I don't have to hold on with a death grip. Okay, cool. That's one way of tracking your progress. Okay, let's say if you've done this, and this. Let's say if it's a day that you actually have a lot more time to do your cardio. Like, okay, I've done my incline, 15 incline. I've done my speed, 3.4. I'm not death gripping for dear life. Instead of doing 20 minutes, I'm going to try 25. I'm going to try 21 minutes, 22 minutes, 23, 24. If you're feeling it, it's like, okay, I want to try 25. 5 minutes may not seem like a long time, but 5 minutes is a long time. So let's say, like, okay, I'm going to go for 25 minutes. Write that down. Okay. Did extra 5 minutes at this speed, this da-da-da-da-da-da. How did it feel? I felt like crazy. I felt like I was 10 out of 10 exhaustion. I can't do anything else. Or I felt 3.7. I felt like a 7. but it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was hard, yes, but not as hard as I thought it would be. Progress. That's another way of tracking your progress. Is if you're overestimating the intensity of an exercise, that's another way of tracking your progress. It's like, okay, cool. Well, if you're overestimating the intensity of the exercise and you can still do it, I'll put it that way. Because there are a lot of things that's like, okay, this is heavy. For instance, my mind, like dumbbell bench press, that's been a big thing of mine. And there's a mental thing that doesn't let me go above like 90-pound dumbbells sometimes. It's like, I know I can do this. It's like, but 90, 95 is like a sticking point. And I used to rep hundreds. But that between that 85 and 95, it's a really weird, they're sticking points for me. And I'm like, okay, this is heavy. And I do, I'm like, this isn't as heavy as it's doable. It's heavy, yes, but it's not as heavy as I thought it was going to be, but it's still heavy. And sometimes it's like, okay, that's a way of tracking progress. Okay, I'm getting stronger, whether it's physically stronger or mentally stronger, because sometimes it's a mental game of how you're progressing. Again, so that's another way of tracking your progress, is how comfortable and confident you feel in the gym. Because if you feel comfortable and confident with yourself and the physical abilities that you have, you can actually improve. You can increase different variables that way too. You can increase your weights, your reps, your sets. So that mental and emotional confidence, it's a big thing. So that's another way of tracking your progress. But again, just want to kind of chop it up with you guys. Those are some big things I'll say. Different ways to track your progress is, are your weights going up? Are your reps improving? Are your reps increasing? Are your sets increasing? The time between exercises, is that decreasing? Your confidence level, is that improving? No, every now and then when you walk past the mirror, does your physique change? Does your physique look a little bit different? Does it look a little more toned, as people like to say, a little bit more muscular? No, not as much fat around it. And again, your overall confidence in yourself, that's a big one. So how is your confidence? How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about yourself with these different exercises? With your cardio, are you able to go longer? Are you able to not feel as tired? Are you able to increase the intensity, whether it's the incline, or whether it's the speed, or whether it's the resistance on whatever you're doing? Those are just some ways to track your progress in the gym. There's so many other ones, but those are just some ones I want to chat about with y'all. But again, just want to come in, talk with y'all for a little bit. If there's anything else you guys want to know, drop it in the comments. Love to chat with you guys. But until next time, later.